Greetings, traders. Good afternoon, and welcome to our Wednesday's Boomerang Day Trading session here for the Boomerang Day Trader. First thing I'd like you to do is please understand the risk disclosure here. Only risk capital should be used for trading, and it should not jeopardize your financial security or your lifestyle by spending money on trading and financing a trading business, which is what we do at Boomerang Day Trader and our live services. Also, if you're managing a trading account, you have to finance that account just like a business, just like any normal business. Also, realize that the signals and setups I show you here in the room are hypothetical performance figures, and they should be construed that way because they're not live trades. However, once you own Boomerang and you take the trade yourself, then it'll be a live trade and it'll no longer be hypothetical. So we do have to say, and I like to say, that these are hypothetical trades here. They're not live trades. So just keep that in mind here. And thank you very much for joining with us today. I really appreciate seeing you, and it's great to see you joining here in our room for our bi-weekly webinar. Now, today I'm going to be talking about several things, but I first want to mention that it will be recorded, so you'll have a chance to review any of the information I give you on here, and there will be a lot of it. There always is, and we'll take your questions and everything too. So I've got thank you, John. I've got a confirmation the sound and audio is good. That's most appreciated. Saved me having to ask. Loud and clear. Thank you, Jim. Good to see you. Greg, fantastic. And we'll get started here. So a couple announcements first of all. I have added, this is the crude oil contract here. You can see the crude oil contract over on Boomerang right here. I have added the crude oil contract to our live trading room, and we're taking the exact Boomerang trade signals on crude oil in the live trading room. So for any of you who are new to Boomerang and don't own it yet, or would like to have additional training on Boomerang in a live environment, feel free to join me on my Day Traders Action live trading room. That's shown right here under Trading Live with Mohan. You can join the site and you can watch Boomerang trade live. You can pick up my instructions and you can make money while you're in the room because I make live signals on the crude oil. We had 2 winners today, for example, and I also track which trades are being set up, and I do mini scalps on the mini NASDAQ here, NQ. I do not use the exact Boomerang setup. Some of them I do, but most of the time I'm doing micro scalps around the Boomerang setup. In other words, like in this configuration here, I was not trading into the close here, but just to give an example, in a configuration like this, I'll usually get 2 or 3 trades out of this, whereas Boomerang just showed 1 trade here up here on this short, and we'll go over the method and everything there. But I've got this crude oil chart up here if I need to refer to it later. What we also do, speaking of that, what I do in the mornings when I come in, we don't open the room till 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, which is 7 o'clock my time, which is right around here. So what I do is I go in and we backtrack to 5:45 or 8:45 Eastern Standard Time, and I make a list of all the Boomerang trades that set up because we do training in the room. So I always go over the trade setups and how they set up. For example, here is the first short here on the crude oil. Here was a second short here. Right as we were opening, they came in and gave us a second short sale here on Boomerang for the crude oil. And then they have this key report that comes out every Wednesday at 10:30 Eastern Standard Time. The honest factual truth is I forgot about it. I got the room long here at 81, and the report came out, and thank God they blasted them higher, knocked out 10 ticks in about half a second, and then they reversed them. It was my mistake, but luckily we were on the right side, at least initially for the blast, got the 10 ticks on a live environment here, and then I took another live trade over here on a short, and they took them down for 10 ticks there as well. And then shortly after that, the market got real choppy and kind of crazy. There was another couple of setups, like this one's not a setup. It's at the bottom of a fat channel here with a big spike down coming from up here. Spike, spike, spike. Down they go. So really, pretty much after that, this was a trade here. I avoided this one only because same thing. It was a lot of whipsaw, taking them down and then re-spiking them back up. And I was looking at this trade, but I decided just not to take it. And right when I actually, oh, I remember now. On this live trade, I was right here where the price were trading, and the prices were pulling back. And I said, let's go long at the Cobra because I didn't quite have a flat filter here. This gold line. It's a new filter that I use in the room. It's a 33 period simple moving average. If you want to write that down, you can use it yourself on Boomerang, and I'll go over that today. 33 period simple moving average. This dash line. And it was just kind of flattening out. See how it's still sloping down a little, and I was just trying to be extra cautious. We had the crossover, so I said let's buy them at the Cobra, and you can see the price were hovering right around here. They moved up a little and they came back to this 17 level. And I said, rather than buy 17, let's just buy them at the Cobra down there around 14 to 15. They never came down. They came down to 15, never came down to that 14 number one, and then shot straight up for the 10 ticks. And I had closed the room just after that because we had also had three trades on the extremely whipsaw NASDAQ market, and the first two were small stop outs because I was trying to go long and they just wouldn't let me have it. And then we finally caught them down here at it was a again it was a more of a swing trade that I did where was 60 here. Let me find that. I'll show you the exact trade I did here. 60. This was it. Yeah, I was telling everybody they when the prices were coming down here, I was looking at this thing. I said, I'm going to take this as a swing trade setup. And I said, they've got right down here. I said, this market has a date with 4760. It's got a date with 4760. 55 was a key number, and more about that later on our second announcement coming up in a second. Very exciting news. And sure enough, we got long. Our price was 45 right here, absolutely right near the bottom. 45 live on tape. You can see it live. I got it on tape. You'll see it on my YouTube channel, which I'll show you in a second. And we got a 12-point jump as they leaped up to 60, and I told everybody to cover them up at 59. And then along the way, I said if they leap over 57, go ahead and cover them up. So some people put limits in at 57. They blasted right up to 59. So I just used 57 as our number in the room. So that was a 12-point gain on that. So we closed the room right after that, just due to the election stuff and the volatility and all the crazy stuff that's going on. Just being real careful. Plus the simple fact that today they had the announcement by the Federal Reserve, their regular interest rate announcement. So that whole thing was going on as well. Anyway, I just want to let you know that if you want a little, just a little extra coaching or training, come on into the Day Traders Action Live Room. You can join there. It's $249 a month, but you can join for $29 for the first 2 weeks. And then you can cancel anytime. But if you want to get some extra training, come on in the room and stay for a month or two. You'll have a great time. By the way, speaking of which, some more announcements. What I just mentioned is I got a lot of announcements today. Actually, is my Day Traders Action live channel here, Day Traders Action Trading Room live. Our recordings of the live trades. I'll have that one I just talked to you about today up here later today, but we had a summary about it, adding crude oil to the market. Here's 3 winning shorts in a row. We got all kinds of trades on here. We got a lot of swing trades. There's a ton of examples on here. It's very extensive. So if you want to, in fact, if you want some extra coaching, you just go on my site here and see me do some of the coaching for the crude oil on Boomerang as well. But anyway, either way, it's up to you. I just wanted to make that announcement to you. While you're over on my Day Traders Action site, by the way, we offer auto trade for crude oil now. And what you can do is you can sign up right here and put your name and email address, and I'm sending out regular updates on the crude oil trades that we have and the ones that set up, so you can sign up there and you can get an email notice when they come in, and they'll be posted here on the blog. So this is a whole new thing I'm doing. Takes a little extra work, but gee, I sure love work that I do. So been doing it for 16 years in the industry, long time. But here's this was the post I did right after we started the crude oil posting right around the 12th. There's 5 gain trades, no losses. You can see I made a little mini track record. I've actually got a table that I've built, and then I can just fill it in. It'll update real nicely. But on the 12th, 5 gain trades, no losses. 5 gains, no losses. 5 gains, no losses. The 17th, 1 gain, 1 loss for -3 ticks. I cut the trade a little short there and was able to clip the loss. Rather than going 13, I just did 3 1 gain trade. Again, this is all during this choppy election stuff. It's really uh, cut back the amount of crude oil trades we usually have. If you've seen my other videos, you see that we normally get anywhere from like 5 at a minimum per day. Now that's kind of the max or norm, and up to 15. There's a recent post I did, which I'll show you in a second. Um, 7 to 12 or 13 was very normal for the longest time. I think it's honestly, I think it's just this contraction period around the election. That's all, and it is really 1 gain trade, 1 loss trade, 2 gain trades, 1 loss for 2 ticks on the loss, 2 gains. 10 ticks is a gain. So 20 ticks -2, 18 ticks, $180 a contract. 3 gain trades, 1 loss trade for -3 ticks. So $300 -30, and then 1 grain trade. So I'm just trying to get this thing updated. I'll eventually get to it probably tonight or tomorrow. Just depends. I'm always so darn busy every day with your wonderful emails coming in. You have questions and things. I try to answer them right away. And all the Boomerang sales, I really appreciate it. Love helping you and training you. And I've added, like I said, this extra feature now where you can join the room and get live coaching for Boomerang. Or if you not sure if you want to buy Boomerang, you can come in the room, take the training from our blog here, come in the room and just trade right off the charts. That's a fact. You can trade off the charts until you get really accustomed to that. Then you want to have Boomerang just trade whenever you want. You can trade crude oil around the clock, but you'll be able to see the charts as clearly as you can see them here. I always blow them up like this so everything's really big and clear. And then you'll have me coaching the trades as well, but you can take them right off the charts and see Boomerang trading in live action for a very low cost if that's something of interest to you. And then you can buy Boomerang. It's $100 a month for a year, and then you own it for life. What that means is you pay $11.95, and you can put on a credit card, and then you can just pay it off $100 a month, and after a year you'll have paid it off, or just buy the whole thing and pay for Boomerang within a couple days. Usually that's what they do. So it's quite exciting. I got these new things. So second announcement, or third actually, that was like 3 in 1 there. And again, you can also go to my YouTube site. Just go to YouTube and click Day Traders Action Live Trading Room. Do it on the search thing here, and it'll bring up my page there. You'll be able to see all these live recordings I post. I post winners, losers, everything, but I don't record the whole session because YouTube wouldn't appreciate me having a series of 4-hour videos on there all the time. And the traders wouldn't either because a lot of times you're just sitting there waiting for a trade to pan out. Most of our trades pan out very quickly, as you Boomerang traders know. They don't. We set them up right within the market force, so they get in and we get in and then get out. That's our kind of our creed of a blue collar working trader. So with that in mind, the other announcement, by the way, yes, it's been many years since I've reduced any additional work other than Boomerang, and we had many years ago Hyper Scalp, which I put out. That was the last one. Hyper Scalp, you can see it right here. It's 195, and it just gives you. I've had so many comments on this. It's unbelievable. They're going, oh my God, I could never trade without this again, because it just reads right into the price, and you get such an accurate view. It'll tell you where to get out, where that market's running, and it'll show you exactly where exhaustion levels are. If you decide to hold some of these trade beyond 3 to 5 points, you can track it right up to the actual very close to the end of the move, stuff like that. But I'm now getting ready to release something that is so mind-blowing, you'll be absolutely in love with it. It's a very low cost, but it's 5 new indicators. It's called the Boomerang Roadmap. Now you can take this and lay it on your Boomerang charts, and it will show you institutional levels of support and resistance, you'll know exactly when the market's getting exhausted and ready to reverse. And you'll, from the bottom and the top, you'll know where the market is trending around a sort of an institutionally accepted value area, and you'll have some other indicators that I swore that I would never release, but I'm doing it anyway because it's not that I'm getting near retirement or anything. Oh yes, I'm leaving next week. No, it's because I just want to help traders, and I got some really great stuff, and I will be. I'm getting closer now. I don't want to announce it too early because it's not going to be ready for another week, maybe even 2 weeks. But we're working on the indicators now to get them all for you, and includes like the Boomerang filter, which you can see here on crude oil. This is a filter combined. This is a more esoteric filter here, and it's hard to find. It's takes some explaining to do, which I'll do on my extensive video. But we also have price pressure bands, and I'm going to show you how to read the exact bias. Like, you look at a Boomerang chart now, you don't need the Boomerang roadmap to trade with Boomerang at all. But what it does for those who want a little more advanced study, it's going to overlay a map on here and show you exactly, like, you'll say, wow, this looks like the market's really getting close to you'll know exactly if we're getting close to a bottoming area. Therefore, I'm going to take the next Boomerang buy, and I'm going to wait for a stronger move. You'll know when to hold, and that's where you can incorporate hyper scalp and watch for a larger scale run up, stuff like. You'll know exactly when to do that using the Boomerang roadmap for those who are already doing that, and a couple other things that I've got in there. But it'll also include my precision trade guide, which is, I've had so many comments on that. It's something I released some time ago, but it is absolutely a wonderful thing you can overlay on any chart of any stock or anything, stock, ETF, future, and you'll know exactly what the bias of the market is and where it's going. And it'll come with 2 extensive training videos, these 6 additional indicators, and of course everything on how to use it. You will be shocked and amazed at the stuff I'm going to show you. And the grand total, it's only $299, so it's like, the cost of 1 or 2 trades. One Boomerang trade on 4 contracts, we all know, on a mini NAS with 3 points and on a 4 contract, a blue collar working trader, after commission, it's around $230, so it's less than 2 trades. And the roadmap, after you use it, you'll go, oh my God, I wish I had had this earlier. But hey, it comes out when it comes out, and you'll really love it. Already, a lot of traders are getting very good ideas about our Boomerang filter here, which you see applied on these charts. But I can't give you the whole thing. It comes with the package, but for right now, I will be happy to tell you all this is here. Well, I can say all it is, but let me tell you, it took me years to figure this out after reconfiguring so many different things. I kept coming back to this 33 period simple moving average here. That's what this dashed line is. Now, you've got the dynamic trend bands, and that's excellent. That's absolutely excellent, but it's a filter. It's not an indicator. I call it a filter. Here's why. Here's a market whipsawing like crazy. It's kind of pushing higher, right? Well, look, notice how the price are above the sloping up 33 period moving average. And then all of a sudden they start whipsawing, and you're going, wow, what's going to happen next? And you might be thinking, well, should I get in a long or a short? And you go, well, the dynamic trend bands are crossing. Okay, now they're matching, so I want to trade a pullback signal line here, but what if it goes into whipsaw again? Well, then you see the prices come down under the flattening 33 period moving average, and you go, boom, I'll take the next one. There you go. And it just gives you that extra blast of confidence and support in your work with Boomerang. And the greatest thing of all is you can take the Boomerang roadmap and lay it on any chart, any stock in any time frame of any stock, ETF, futures contract, and you're going to know exactly where that stock's going to hit resistance, support. All living, breathing levels are moving all at the same time. You're going to know exactly where it is. So again, I don't have that available now, but in about a week and a half or so I will, and I'll make an announcement on the Boomerang blog, so you'll be able to order it there. Again, it's worth easily, I'd say, in your first 6 months of trading, worth 100 times the cost. Why do I do it for so low? I know. There's these guys. They'll charge $5,000 for Boomerang if they even had something that they could personally guarantee will give you 90% winning trades. I can guarantee another thing. Those those gougers out there in our wonderful trading industry would charge you $5,000, $6,000 for Boomerang, and the roadmap they'd charge you another 5,000 for that, and they people would pay it, and I know I can get that, so I charge $299, and that's just me. Once you use it, you go on, hey man, you're not charging enough for this. I go, okay, well then why don't you send me a set of tickets to Maui or something? You want to pay a little more money? I don't mind. Go ahead. Anyway, I've gotten tickets to Maui and I used them and it was a lot of fun, but I don't require Boomerang traders to send me Maui tickets. Unless you want to. Anyway, just kidding a little bit. Let's get into the action here. So keep an eye out for that. It's been many years. I don't know the exact date, but I think Hyper Scalp was released at least 3 years ago. I haven't put anything out since then. So, you know, my nature is to only put out something really super relevant. If you like Boomerang, you know how good that is. Wait till you see the roadmap. You will be shocked and amazed at how wonderful it is, and shocked and amazed at why Mohan's only charging $299 for it. So, here's how Boomerang works. For those of you brand new to the room, don't mind any of these things. They're not sales pitches. I don't believe in that. I don't need your money. I could stop trading right now, run my hedge fund, run my private trading, put on 10 contracts and all these signals I'm going to show you. And not sometimes I get these smart asses that come in and ask me, why don't you just trade if you're so good? They're just childish. They're just beginners. They don't understand. If everybody did that, then how would you learn how to trade, pal? Oh, yeah, you'd only have people that don't trade. Well, I'm one of those people that do trade and have a lot of experience. So, you know, smarting off to me ain't going to help you get very far. But I only get them once in a while. Out of hundreds and hundreds of wonderful traders and emails that I get and that I meet, you get a few like that. There's a lot of this goofy kind of stuff out there. And I can't even really blame that because there's so many frauds in this industry. I hate to say it, that unfortunately it will breed a lot of skepticism. But let me do something right now for you. And I want to show you, first of all, how Boomerang works, and then how you can incorporate a few things into it, including those of you who are long-term Boomerang traders, how you can start incorporating this, what is one half of this filter right now, but it's the key part, which is this dash line, and it'll help you with your trading. It's just a filter. Don't take it as anything more than that. The dynamic trend bands are what set up the trades. But let me show you something. I'm going to go back. Let's see where I'm set up here. Data series. So I've got 14 days loaded. That's perfect. So I usually like to go back, 14 days. We go back over and show you the setups. Now, the way Boomerang works, it's quite simple. You have a trade channel, which is signaled here as a trade channel right here. I'll quickly switch over to a pointer. You have a trade channel right here, which is an arrow that'll light up and it'll start blinking if the price are moving back. You watch for the candle to close, and then you look up here and you say, then the next, that opens a trade channel, which is shaded green here. And you look and you see that I know there's a lot of stuff here. There to go. That helps. You have within the trade channel, you have this thin line running here, which is called the trade signal line. Then the more prominent dotted line is called the Cobra, which is fronts runs the dynamic trend bands. I really should. It's okay for now. We'll leave it. This is my chart I'm using every day, and I've got these key levels marked on the charts, and I show you how to do that on one of the videos on our blog, but I don't mind if there's excessive amount of lines there. And what you see here is a dynamic trend band number 1, and this darker or thicker solid blue line is dynamic trend band number 2. So all we're looking for for a trade setup is a new buy channel, the dynamic trend bands to either crossing over on the upside in the case of a buy trade and crossing over on the downside in case of a sell trade, and or matching color. If they match color, then that permissions the trade by the system. The trade permissions the system. We don't just wing trades or guess at trades. That's what I'm assuming you've been doing for either a short while or maybe even a long while, losing a lot of money. So you want to come into something now, a proven system that has exact, crystal clear, very simple to follow rules, and let those rules permission you to take trades rather than just your gut feeling. Trust me, I know what that's like. Or your intuition. We call it intuition, but traders call it into wishing. I'm into wishing that this market's going to go higher. Well, you better hope so. Anyway, buy channel opens up. The channel opens. Now you have the matching dynamic trend band. See that? The blue azul color here, it's actually called azul, and here on the dynamic trend band. So you buy the first pullback, the sig line, which occurs right here around 48.31, and then we watch for a scalp to 48.34, which occurred right up in this area, and we take 3 points, and that's it. We scalp 3 points, and we watch for the next trade. So on this particular day, as we're rolling further down the road, we say, well, here's another setup coming in here. The first thing you look for is you get right, you're watching the market and you say, looks like it might be getting toppy here. Now you see, first of all, notice how the Cobra changes first. You go, uh-oh, red Cobra means the market's getting ready to sell off a little bit maybe, or pull back. You're never sure exactly. Now you have a sell channel opening up. Okay, there's a sell channel. The candle is 450 ticks. So you're going to watch down here. You put a tick meter on your Boomerang chart, and you can see exactly when that candle's going to close. You'll see the ticks winding down. 215, 100, 98, 17, 16, boom, new candle. And the new candle will form. So sometimes what happens is the algorithm calling for the new sell channel will front run a little bit. It'll be ahead of the pullback to the signal line algorithm. So you'll have a sell candle, a sell channel arrow appearing on a new candle, and simultaneously the pullback signal line. Normally you're not going to take those trades because it's going to happen very quick. And the rule is you wait for the candle to close, all those ticks to get used. Then you start watching for your next trade. This is where I switch over to my crosshair cursor so I can show you the price. So right here, there you see the price's pullback signal line, which is marked and alarmed with a yellow dot. You can't miss it. And some people who don't know Boomerang or understand how honest we are and don't understand the algorithms we use will say, oh, but these lines are always going to be moving according to when the market moves. Yes. However, when that price comes up and hits the signal line and prints that yellow dot's going to be there today. It's going to be there tonight when I show you the webinar. Because this is 2 weeks old. Remember, that dot hasn't moved, and this is a 2-week-old chart. That price, you could go back and look at the time and sales on this day, which was, see if I wave my cursor, or you can see here. That was on the 19th of October. And you can run a time and sales on it, 747.27. So I noted the second. You can go look on an official brokerage time and sales printout sheet, and you'll see, yes, prices did indeed in that candle hit 48.35 even. So, and that'll be the same case a year from now if you look at the same chart. So these were real entries here. I have to call them hypothetical, but our traders know our system. You want to get the earliest candle that hits the pullback sig line. So they go 35, boom, they crash down to 30. You got 3 points there. So that's your second winning trade in a row. We then have several different types of setups that are little modifications. One of them is called the trend trading method. And that's shown in the blog right here. You can study it. I won't repeat it all here. I'll show you briefly what it is. But you can study this to get the exact method and see many, many examples right on our blog. We built up our resource section to a very tremendous capacity to show all the important things for Boomerang. Although there's only a few, it's nice to have good education with your training. So, and if you can always do a little refresher course by watching my videos here. They're all free. Don't worry, nobody's going to charge you. So, when the dynamic trend band number one crosses a cobra, which occurred right on this here, you can short the cobra, which was right here. They're usually very quickly, right when it crosses. There's usually a very quick move to the cobra. In this case, it happened instantly as they're crossing. You short the cobra, and down they come for the third winning trade in a row. Just as a quick review, we had trade number one. Oh, my mistake. Here's another trend trade move here. When you got a steep dynamic trend band like this, see, the cobra or the dynamic trend band number one crosses a cobra. It's usually within one or two candles. You trade a pullback to the cobra, which occurred right here as they crossed over. So that was actually trade number two, a winner there, because the entry would have been at 34.25 and they shot up to 39.5. So 3 points, 3 points, 3 points, and then a trend trade here. Again, right here, 3 points. So four winning trades in a row. Now the prices start to turn, and I'll show you more about this filter in a second. The prices start to turn, and they start crossing over here. First thing you notice is the cobra changes colors. You got a new buy channel, that's fine, but there's no trade until the right setup. You have to wait for the right setup. Otherwise, what's the point of the system? You're back to winging it, and you'll do better winging it with Boomerang, but if you just follow the rules, you'll get 90% winning trades. So here's a new buy channel, and now here's the dynamic trend band number one is changing colors. So that's exciting. We got something setting up here. Now you see the channel itself kind of crossing over this sloping down dynamic trend band number two, and that tells you to watch out for the possibility of a trade. Hopefully we'll get a modification here. One, two, yes, we will. This is another modification which is not mentioned on the blog, but those of you who've been in the seminars and paying attention here, you know that we have a rule that if all the pullbacks to the SIG line are used up without a trade setup occurring, which is a matching dynamic trend bands or a crossover, then if all the pullbacks, the channel got started way down here, if they're all used up, there's going to be 6 of them from the starting candle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you see that next pullback, it didn't mark it with a dot because it was beyond 6 candles from the channel opening candle. Well, if that happens and there's no pullback SIG line, you can take the next pullback to the cobra within the sooner the better, but within 2 to 3 to maybe 4 or 5 candles, 5 at the max, from the exact crossover which occurred in this candle. So you can see here 1, 2, 3, 4, and then on the 5th candle they came down here and hit the cobra. So you can go ahead and buy that cobra pullback. 34 shot up to 38.50. So that's like our 5th winning trade in a row, I think. 5th winning trade. Lost track. Now they're going through the closing, coming into the close of the final hour. Usually I just avoid the final hour. Okay, so that gives you an idea there of how we trade Boomerang. And I could go through 2 weeks of trade setups. Now notice I didn't mention any of the bias indicators down here because generally we don't need to use those, but they're just there. People like indicators. I like indicators. You can use them as you want, and I have a whole, but for right now I like to keep the chart wide open for the room here, so I'm not showing them. But if you're profoundly interested in those Boomerang bias indicators, I just happen to have a special, fairly recent video made mid-July called Trading on the Right Side of the Market, the Boomerang Indicators. And it goes into detail about all of the indicators in the Boomerang system. But again, since the October of 2014, which was literally 2 years ago, I had reconfigured Boomerang Trader into the Ultra Boomerang, reconfigured the dynamic trend bands, and found I was able to guarantee 90% winning trade signals simply using the setup I just showed you with the dynamic trend bands and the trade channel. It's so simple, it's unbelievable. In the past, we'd have to have a matching dynamic or bias index 1 and 2 would have to be matching or on the same side of the zero line. It's a little more complex. But anyway, now it's been simplified using just the current Ultra Boomerang Day Trader method. There are a tremendous amount of lines on this chart. Hold on a quick second. I don't think it's that important, but it looks a little cluttered, and I don't want new traders to think that Boomerang is got all these lines on it. This is just me being a mathematician. What can I say? Hold on a quick second. Let me do something real quick here. Just take 10 seconds. So I hope that made sense what I just went over with. Now all that's recorded so you can go over it in detail later if you want. But that's really, I know it sounds funny, but that's really all there is to Boomerang Day Trader. It's really that simple. Now again, for advanced traders who want to go more into it, I'm going to be releasing this Boomerang roadmap, and that's going to give you an advance alert of all kinds of. It's going to be so valuable it'll blow your mind, but it's going to give you an advance alert on the setups that'll be occurring that have potential for larger scale moves. You'll find with the Boomerang roadmap, because I had people ask me about those, and I always had been promising for 2 years, 3 years now since Hyperscalp that I'd show you a way to do it. And Hyperscalp did solve that problem in some ways, but it didn't quite tell you. It would measure when a larger scale move was occurring, but it didn't quite do what the roadmap does. The roadmap is quite extensive, but very simple to use, and I'll look forward to sharing that with you. What I'm doing right now, I'll be there in just a second. Here we go. Hold on a second here. Do a little cleanup here. There. Now what I've got, what I just put up here is an absolute brand new fresh Boomerang 450 tick chart, our default for all the contracts, including my new video on the bonds. Did you see? I don't know if some of you saw this or not. I just did an extensive video for a very nice woman who trades the bonds, and she had asked me for video. I said, well, I'll just go ahead and make a whole webinar on it. So I did a recap of the 30-year bonds, Treasury bond, T-bond, which is actually, its symbol ZB, which is actually the most liquid futures contract in the world. I put on here experienced bond traders only because I'm simply recommending don't just jump in, get a little feel for it because these are different animals. These bonds are like a little different, but 1010 to 1021 had just a real excellent return on those bonds. There's actually 100% winning trade signals, and this has a CME basics on the U.S. Treasury futures, and then we went over that in the webinar over these. I think there was 7 sessions in there, all winners. And if you just wrap yourself around Boomerang, you may not have all winners, but the signals will come out 90 to 100% winners. And what you can do is just align yourself with those, and you'll find over time, obviously, it's like trying to learn to golf by yourself, or all of a sudden your neighbor moves in and turns out his dad's a super golf pro, and he says, would you like to meet him? And you go, yeah, well, I'm trying to learn how to golf. He says, oh, he'll give you some tips. I mean, how valuable would that be, right? So similarly, you just get a little experience with this stuff using Boomerang as your golf pro, as your market pro. Align yourself with that, with something that's producing 90 to 100% winners, in the case of this example on the bond trades, and on crude oil, 97%. And you may not hit that mark, but you're going to be really darn close, you know. And as you keep aligning yourself with that, you can just get better and better at it. That's what we hope to have you achieve. And of course, you know the drill. We can't guarantee it or anything. Of course not. We can guarantee that the system will deliver 90% winners. That I can do. Just like a person who sells you a new Cadillac, he can guarantee that car is going to work exactly as they state, exactly as they advertise, exactly as he showed you in the demo ride. They'll even say, look, you buy it today, we'll give you a 100,000-mile warranty for free just to prove that we guarantee this thing to work exactly as we say it will. Now, that doesn't mean, though, that you don't drink a little too much and you don't drive that safe and all of a sudden you crash the car. You don't come back and say, well, hey, this didn't work because it got crashed. You go, come on, you crashed the car. That's not the car's fault. You see what I'm saying? That's the difference. Believe it or not, I get them. They expect, what kind of guarantee is that? If you don't guarantee I'll have all winners, I go, hey, Johnny Joe, you don't belong in the futures industry. That is the most childish statement I've ever heard. And then I give them the car example, and they go, well, whatever, still, it's like, just grow up. You don't belong in the futures industry. This is for mature adults. And, I'm giving you a system that's the first time in history of the stock markets that offers 90% winning trade signals from the software following the simple rules that I'm showing you. And if you can't understand that and you think you're going to just jump in and buy Boomerang and wing it and then mess up, that's somehow Mohan's fault or the software's fault, well, you're going to have another thing coming. Anyway, doesn't matter. I get so rare. 1 out of 1,000 people I'm in touch with will be at that level, and I try to help them. I give them a little tough love. I say, you know what? It's just like everybody doesn't belong, even though they may have some Rambo inner spirit, they don't belong as a policeman on the downtown Detroit, Michigan beat, working the midnight beat in one of the rougher areas. You don't belong in that business. You may think you're a tough guy and you may think you're strong and you go to the gym a lot, but you may not belong in that beat. It's not for everyone. You see what I mean? When you compare like that, then you go, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So trading, for some reason, it's the media. Remember the goofy baby with the cell phone? Hey, I'm trading futures, a little talking baby, really weird. And I used to see that. I'd get so mad. I go, look what the image says there. Any goofy little baby can trade the markets. And that's like men who have that tendency as hunters and providers see that and they go, yeah. I mean, they just play on the psychology of men. It's like women traders too, but the goofy babies appealing to men and saying any little baby can trade. And then the guy goes in and loses, $10,000, $20,000, and he's holding his head in his hands, going, "What happened?" He goes, "That commercial was very misleading. That should be outlawed, or at least they should have a massive disclaimer on there, not a 2-second flash of itty bitty little pinpoint letters as future trading is high risk and you shouldn't use their trading." They don't really do that. Anyway, just trying to give you an impression of how to view Boomerang. You align yourself with something that's providing that many accurate signals. Learn the methods I show you here, and you'll do quite well. I know you will. We have so many traders that email me, and they're quite ecstatic about what they're seeing. So thanks again. We'll get to your questions here soon. I'm getting ready to wrap this up, but I wanted to show you that. Let me show you crude oil too, and let me show you, it's the same exact thing as the NAS, really. They all are. Really, a chart, I get people going, well, can you send me today's chart? They just watched a bunch of webinars. I go, today's chart is no different from yesterday's or 2 weeks ago or 2 years ago, or, every day is a little bit different, but and then they'll say, but well, what about this chart? I go, I had a nice guy the other day says, I want to buy Boomerang, but I want to know if it'll work on Forex. I go, yeah. He goes, well, do you have some Forex charts? I go, I really don't right now, but a chart is a chart is a chart. They're going to look the same as the NASDAQ charts and the crude oil charts. He's like, oh, but this Forex. I go, it's all the same. A chart is a chart is a chart. They go up, they go down, they whipsaw, they They get in choppy periods and they trend, and all that will be measured by the Boomerang dynamic trend bands. It's going to look exactly the same. And then, you know, and he bought it. He agreed. And then I showed him too on NinjaTrader. I mean, they've got all the Forex pairs. You just have that service. You click on the pair you want. You put on a Boomerang chart and start clicking away. Happy trading. Anyway, on crude oil, the deal with crude oil, let me go back just a little. This last few days, it's been fine. I mean, we've had a lot of trades, and I showed you some earlier, I think. Yeah, I did. I showed you 5 or 6 crude oil trades earlier for, I think, yeah, that was today's, because that we track them every day and trade them when they show up live if I'm not too wrapped up in a NAS trade. Sometimes I think this is one. No, this is a pre-market trade. Again, these charts all look the same to me. They just once you have Boomerang, you just can easily recognize the market. But a trade will be setting up, like it's in a choppy phase. Maybe I'm over on NAS and I got my finger right on the trigger, going, "Oh, this thing got to break." Say I'm short, it's got to break 48.24. I got to get out here. I really need this thing to break because I don't want to get whipsawed. Live action's very intense, and I got my finger on the trigger, and then I'm looking at a chart on another screen, one of my micro scalp charts, and I look over, oh, crude setting up over here. Now I do have a recent video. I like to bring this up because I like to show proof of everything we do. That's different from 99% of the other futures rooms out there. And that is, like, for example, here, yeah, on 1024, there's a live recording of me in a um, NQ trade, and I was able to glance over and go, oh, there's a crude setting up. So I set it up right there live along with the NQ trade, and I worked them both at the same time, and you can see them both panning out as profitable trades live at the same exact time. So, we do that, but there is sometimes where I may miss a trade if I'm really on the edge with the NAS and it's not breaking down, say I'm short and it's not cracking the lower low, because I call out exact numbers. I said we need them to break down under 24 quarter here, and they're hovering around 24 half, 24.75. I need that 24 quarter to break, and then it starts jumping up again. Sometimes I'll just pop out the trade because I'm doing micro scalps. I'm not looking to hold the trade necessarily. Anyway, so on crude oil, I had showed you some earlier. This looks like a better chart. The last few days, today was fine. I showed you 5 winners, but this is a little smoother, easier to show you. Now here's a huge runner, and crude oil do that a lot. You get in a trade like here, they start falling off the wagon, and you're not going to trade anything there. But you got to remember, you still got your trend trading set up here. For example, they crossed over here. Right as they're crossing over, the market shoots up, so you can just go short right at around 47.90. You see that right in the Cobra, right as this is coming down and the price is shot up fast. Boom, boom, it created the crossover. So all you're doing is shorting the Cobra right here at 90, and then down they come to 79. There's your 10 ticks right there. And then you just wait. Now, in the midst of that, there was also a second level trade. So if you didn't take the trend trade, you could have wait and seen the new sell channel, the matching dynamic trend bands had already been occurring even through this little pop here. And then you trade a pullback the sig line at 89. It's virtually the same trade, and down they come to 78. So it was virtually the same as the trend trade there. And then they just, yeah, I have this thing where I have this sign on my desk that says, so what? Who cares? Dot, dot, dot. No big deal. You have to have that attitude because you're going to get trades that are going to run 10 ticks, pop in your favor, and you're going to feel real good about it. And they'll flounder around a little, go, oh, I'm glad I got out because, look, they jump back to my entry, and then all of a sudden they just melt down. But you got to get away from the mentality of, oh, I left so much on the table. Don't create anxiety for yourself. We're just traders. We're just going to work in the crude oil and picking up $100 bills in front of a steamroller because it's a fast market. That's what I like to call it, picking up $100 bills in front of a steamroller. Excuse me. Now I'll show you, and then we'll end the session and go to your questions. Now, this is a classic example of where the filter worked here to help this trade not be taken. Now, the normal rule is crossover, matching dynamic trend bands, pull back the sig line, or even on the crossover, pull back the sig line at 50 and they jump up to 56 and then they collapsed, right? Well, and again, the filter incomplete will be available with this package called the Boomerang Roadmap. But right now, I can tell you this is a 33 period simple moving average. You can go to your Boomerang, just go to charts, SMA, 33 period, and make a 2 point, 3 point dash line, whatever this is, in a gold, I think it's a gold color or orange, and you'll have this line. It's a filter. It's not an indicator. All it is telling you, hey, this is setting up for a boomerang trade here, but boy, that's a steep downside move. Look at that. Maybe they're bottoming, and they are trying to bottom, but should I be getting long on this, or is it too early? Well, lo and behold, first of all, you got this steep, this secondary filter here. This is the primary one, this 33 period. Sure, prices crossed over that, but look, it's still sloping down. If I put the cursor right up on it, you can see there's a big piece of a pizza there. I call it a piece of pizza. Like if you put it up here, see how big that and that slice is right there. It's big. Here, it's not flat. It's still sloping down. But this particularly, you can easily tell when this is flat. And with this flat and these spread, it's just a higher risk trade to be avoided. So then you go and look at the next trade. Well, what about this trade? Here's a new sell channel. Here's the dynamic trend bands matching down here, which is the main requirement. But you ask yourself, what about the filter here? Right? You ask yourself, what about the filter? And you see, well, the main filter is sloping downward. Prices are under the filter, under bearish, above bullish. Under a sloping down filter and this secondary filter, now the prices are under that as well. You can see that the price is moving under this filter here, and now they're matching on the trend band. It's just an extra confirmation saying no problem, go short. Hit them short there at 43 and they come crashing down at 28. You see that? Then the whipsaw begins, and there's no trade up here. It's just mega whip. Look at this candle here, 37, 48, 11 tick candle. That's just a big whipsaw candle, and this is just the way it's been lately. Well, always, you get the whipsaw, but lately everybody's on edge. It's a little bit erratic, right? So that's just the way it is. Sell channel, matching dynamic trend band. Same thing here. I'll blow it up. That's why I put this fresh boomerang chart on here. Wanted you to make sure and see a little less cluttered, right? Sell channel, you look down here and you wait for the candle to close. And you ask yourself, are the dynamic trend bands matching? And you see, well, Cobra is cutting through here. Cobra is. Prices drop down here, and you go, okay, number one is, and then you see the second candle. Number two is, and you just glance up at the filter and you go, yep, below the 33 period SMA, sloping down, and under a flat secondary filter here, go take that short, and down they go for a huge move on that one. Huge move. And that's going to happen once in a while. You get your 10 ticks, you got your $100, you've already put a couple $100 bills in your pocket here on this day, so you're doing good. That's all that matters. And again, I do have the solution to larger scale moves, and it's called the Boomerang Roadmap. It's coming out in about a week and a half or so, and you will absolutely love it. It'll pay for itself in the first couple trades if you get a larger scale trade going. Here, there's no trade because there's no matching dynamic trend bands, so doesn't matter here. The filter was still showing prices under and sloping down, but there was no matching DTBs until you got to this candle and this one, and there was no setup for an entry there. Let's try this one here. Again, massive whipsaw coming in. So what do? How does a filter help? Well, Here's massive whipsaw coming in. You got a flat filter up here. That's good. And down here, they're scooping under here and flattening out. And what happened here was all of this is one of those that modification rule. All the pullbacks of sigline got used up here. You see that? You've got the filters are favoring an upside move. Everything's above these two lines. Well, that's where you look at the crossover right here. All the signal line pullbacks were used, the 6 pullbacks were used up. So you're permissioned, according to the method, to trade a pullback to the Cobra. So they're crossing over. They come back, hit the Cobra right here. And you buy them here at 09. They dip a little bit under that to 08, 07. And 09 shoots up to 20. There's your 10 ticks. Then rolling over here. And I know I showed you some examples earlier, but I'll show you this last set here, and then we'll go to your questions. And again, I'm just basically showing you how to use a filter. When the trades are starting out, usually you're watching for, and this will be, something you can use right away using the 33 period moving average. It's flat, right? So prices below that are going to be filtered to lean on the bearish side. You got a new sell channel. You got the Cobra's red color. Dynamic trendman number 1 is red color, and number 2 is also red color. Magenta. This is magenta, but I call it red just to. So you're under the prices are under. You just buy a pullback sig line either at 08 or right here at 05, and then down they come for 10 ticks. And then crude oil is going to be closing up around this time. A little spillover later, but the market's closing right around 11:30 Pacific Standard Time. And you want to be out, I would say, normally by 2 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. You might have taken this trade, but it was a good example for me to show you how to use a filter. So put that on your charts if you're a Boomerang owner, and you'll find it. Actually, on any chart, on any stock, any ETF, you will find how magical it is. It's not so simple. It's simple when I show it to you and you say, wow, okay. But it took years to really test over and over moving averages and find stuff that really is truly magical for finding support and resistance, and this one is. And so now you have the secret to that. See, blue dots above and yellow dots below. Blue dots above. Here's a sell-off which matched. Didn't happen here, but I'm just giving you an example. Let me find some more. Just using the filter there. Here we go. Yellow dots below. Now, blue dots above, but you got in line with the system, not on whipsaw and fat channels. But here you see blue dots above. It helps filter out the trades. Yellow dots below the flat filter there. Sloping down below yellow dots. What it will like. Here's a classic way it helped filter trade. Obviously, this is a whipsaw move, but look, you got a sloping down. Prices never reached above that. See what I mean? So it kind of tells you don't take that trade, even if it runs up. Your filter helped you avoid the possibility of getting in this. Of course, there was no matching dynamic trend bands either, but you get the point. I'm just trying to show you the point that it helps you get that extra quick glance confirmation. Yeah, this is a short move here. Stay on the short side. Then you come back over here. And this is just a little minor example. Wait till you see what I have to show you on the roadmap. My God, it'll blow your mind. Stuff I never thought I would reveal, but I decided to after all, so that's cool. Crossover, new buy channel, right? So the crossover is there. So normally you'd buy a pullback sig line, which would occur right here. Well, that's true. What does the filter tell us? Well, number one, the prices are shooting over it. It's still a little steep, but flattening. But then you go down to the secondary one here. You go, it's already flat. Go ahead and buy the pullback. Maybe you wait to this one. And there you go. 49 shoots up to 58. So, 8 to 10 ticks. Still, it just gave you a real visual glance that this is trying to turn around, just to maybe wait. It might have had you wait a little bit longer. Instead of working the crossover, work the matching dynamic trend bands. Let's see them get over the hump here, over the 33 period SMA. And same thing here. Now you got a crossover here, which suggests when this secondary one crosses the first one, it suggests an extended move. So here's a new buy channel. The filters are in extended move category. You've got the matching dynamic trend bands. See, you got the matching dynamic trend bands. You know that's a trade. But look how the filters come right in the middle of that. Just tell you, yeah, that's confirmed. You buy the pullback signal line and you're not as nervous. You got a little more confirmation and you got some stop levels down here. That price should not start dipping down under this area, so you can maybe work a tighter stop too. So there's a lot of valuable stuff there. Same thing here, yellow dots under the filter, blue dots above. Well, they're not above, so look what happened to that trade. Now, you didn't have the right DTB configurations, but this at quick glance told you don't even think about trying to work a long trade here. But what about a short trade? You're below the filter, no problem on the sell side. Crunch. See what I mean? No problem. Price below both the filters, dynamic trend bands, matching color. Go ahead and short them and down they go. Same thing here. Up, flat, flat, up. Everything's confirmed. It's just an extra filter. See what I mean? It's confidence builder. So, with that in mind, I wanted to show you that today, just show you that. And I gave it to you free, you can use that, but the other one is very valuable too. That's a more complex indicator. It's actually based on a very old formula that was originally used for building electrical systems. That's right. It was original formula used for building electrical systems, and some brilliant fellow applied it to a trading indicator measure, and I just love it. It's a filter and I just love it, and I use it on occasion, but I have it on this complete, it's called the Boomerang filter, and that's part of the Boomerang roadmap, but it's just 1 out of 6 indicator. It's absolutely unbelievable. You'll love it. Anyway, so thank you very much for joining with us now. And I appreciate you joining our room today. And thanks again.